folks, and welcome to the dawn of world sports. I am the Donfather, and I'm now going to be doing episode 3 of my brand new podcast, the Donfather's podcast, of course, sports and sports only. This episode is going to be entitled, I think, what is the most physical contact sport? Basically played with a ball or a puck, etc. Not so much combat sports orientated on this video. So I've got 5. I put it to the vote a wee while ago on social media and in the community section, and I put 5 sports down and put it to the vote, because who am I to say what's more physical than anybody else? So 5 sports that I've put in: rugby league and rugby union, obviously the 2 codes of the rugby, American football, which is really hard hitting, ice hockey, which is insane, and of course Aussie rules, which I've done lots of videos on, and I'm fully aware of how big the hits are in that. What way am I going to do this in? I'm going to I separated it into 2 kind of categories. I will give you the sort of percentages of the overall votes, how many votes were put in. There was actually more votes than that, but once I wrote it down a couple of days ago, I'm only getting to doing the video now, we're going by these numbers. So most physical and most dangerous. So we'll start off with most physical. I says, what is the most physical sport out of these? Put it to the vote. 558 people voted. Aussie rules came out on top with 53%. Rugby league 27%, American football 11%, ice hockey 5%, and rugby union 4% being the most physical. So the way that I've actually broke down the most physical then is, what's the most physically demanding on your body? Like how hard you have to work on your field of play or on the ice or whatever your sport is. Like endurance, stamina, speed, etc. Taking all these sort of little things into consideration and actually doing a little bit of research on it. And to be honest, my vote was absolutely on the money. The people voted 53%. Over half the votes went to Aussie rules, and they were bang on the money. Actually, Aussie rules, in terms of distance covered on a game, in a match, in a game, is by far the most physically demanding sport on planet Earth. There's nothing close. On average, I think players are covering a distance of 13 to 14 kilometres per match. Put it in an example, rugby league's 8 to 10 kilometres per match. Rugby union is about, and this is the backs, so they're doing a lot of the running for the full length of the field. Rugby union backs between 7 and 7.5 kilometres per match. American football actually second place with 11 kilometres, and ice hockey, on ice, bearing in mind, they're travelling 5 miles, 8.047 kilometres per match. Bearing in mind their size of arena isn't as big, it's pretty unfair to kind of put them into this one, but we've done that anyway. The votes came up 5%, so they weren't actually the lowest there, but it is pretty damn close. People have got it pretty close to what it actually is if you take into ground covered how many yards or meters these players have to cover in a game, how physically demanding it is on them. And it was near enough bang on. The vote was nearly bang on if you look at it that way. Rugby league, swap that with American football, would have been second place. But Aussie rules, statistically, factually, if you Google it now, is the most physically demanding sport in terms of how much ground the players cover in a game on average. In fact, a St Kilda great, Robert Harvey, covered 19.6 kilometres in the year 2000. Then Shane Crawford tracked 17 kilometres 5 years later in 2005. This is a pretty good stat, because this is sprinting, right? 5 minutes and 25 seconds on average, AFL stars run at speeds of above 18 kilometres per hour. So that's 5 minutes and 25 seconds. This is what people don't realise. So of the 13 to 14 kilometres on average AFL stars are actually running in a game, the majority of these runs are absolutely full-blown, full-pelt sprints. So it's an incredible sport. The area that the field of play is the biggest in the world as well. Bearing in mind they play cricket on these grounds, somebody smacking a six a serious distance. They're actually running this up and down for the full time that they're playing the game. So it's an incredible stat on that alone. So the second part was, and I thought this is quite important to put this into this video, most dangerous then. We'll put this to the vote and then I'll put my opinion in, because I actually haven't got stats to say what's the most dangerous in terms of long-term injuries, you know, like spinal injuries, neck injuries. I could look into that on another episode further down the line, but I'll give you the question that I put out. Out of these same 5 sports, what do you think is the most dangerous? And again, Aussie rules came out on top with 60% of the votes, Rugby League 15%, Ice Hockey 11%, American Football 9%, and Rugby Union 5%. Now this question was really, really hard indeed, but I think Aussie rules is an overwhelming majority there, because based on the subscribers of my channel, I think there's a little bias in this. The reason why I personally wouldn't agree with this is because, excuse me, I've started covering ice hockey, and I've seen things like jugular slices, the hits that they're taking. I mean, if they hit into that backboard, the advertisement board at the back of the ice, behind the goal, when they slide, their leg's just going to shatter. The speed that they're travelling at, 20 miles per hour, excuse me, hitting another player at possibly 20 miles an hour, on the ice. So the speed that they're hitting each other is generating power, is generating some serious contact, so the risk of injury is pretty high. Somebody's going to now say, but they wear gloves, they wear helmets, they wear pads. It doesn't matter. The force of your foot hitting against a board at speed, your leg, doesn't matter the padding on it. A padding's only really to the blow, not the actual shock. The shock will shatter your bone inside that padding, there's absolutely no doubt about that. But the fact that you can get cut with ice hockey skates is insane. These guys are lifting their foot up as they're falling over, and somebody else is maybe coming down and is slicing them open. They're like blades at the end of the day. And there's been a couple of videos, or a video or two that I've done, where I've seen a couple of jugular cuts. I've actually heard from a guy who said he lost his friend on a jugular accident, so that's absolutely terrible news. He actually died because of the same thing with the skates. So that is why I would probably rank NHL, because of the hits. I think is very, you cannot take for granted. I don't care if they wear helmets, I don't care if they wear gloves, padding around the body, the speed that they're colliding into each other at, and the boards and the glass and all these other factors that you can you've got to take into consideration when you talk about the most dangerous. That's why I would personally rank ice hockey 11%. I was quite surprised to see rugby union quite far down it. You've got to remember, these are like 19 stone of idiot. 19 stone of pure animal, really smashing each other. For the majority of the game, they're just hitting each other. Some incidences, yes, they're building up full speed. Rugby league's probably quicker, but you do have, usually, you generally find heavier players within union. Union scrums, it's been scientifically proven, it's almost the same as a car accident. The sort of neck injuries you can get, the back injuries you can get, the concussions you can get, the head knocks. I know you get this in American football. I would say American football is more dangerous for sort of leg tackles, injuries in the air, spinning people over. Yes, they have padding, but there's a serious risk of injury. You could actually debate this one for a long time. Aussie rules though, I would give it quite a high thing based on the fact that you can still tackle without having to put your arms around. You can still tackle in Aussie rules by driving the shoulder through someone, and there's no padding whatsoever. You can be tackled from 360 degrees. You don't just tackle straight on. You can get tackled from the side, the back, all over. Same with ice hockey. In American football you can actually do the same, which I've only just recently discovered, so that's quite interesting. I'm gonna look into this further actually and see can I get some stats over the last year or the year before, whatever the most recent stats I can gather. based on this most dangerous, because it's quite interesting. But if I was doing it based on what I've watched, read, and sort of been told about in the comments section, ice hockey for me, it takes a lot of beating and for danger, but certainly for most physical, there's no doubt about it. Aussie rules blows every one of these other gladiator type sports out of the water when it comes to how much endurance, how much physical stamina and endurance you need. The speed, they're complete athletes. They're built for speed, they're built for long distance, they're built for everything, they're built for hard knocks. Bring back the biff, that's the only thing. Bring back the biff, a little bit of the odd elbow put in there, and then we've got the most undebatable fact, this would be the most unstoppable sport on planet Earth. I just wish Aussie rules, kind of a bit like the American sports, was played on a more wider scale, I mean to a bigger audience. When you talk about rugby league and rugby union, they're played quite big standard around the world. Obviously soccer's the #1 sport in the world for how much it's played and how much people enjoy it across the world. But for these big contact gladiator type sports, I would love a little bit more biff back in the game. I know they're not going to do it now because the money's going that way, so the hits are going to go that way, because sponsors aren't going to want to see the best players on the field injured because of some reckless thing that they've still got going on. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's just a short video. It was just a little bit of fun to see what my subscribers would vote for, and also put my own input in. But I do feel the most dangerous category does need a little bit more research. It can't really be opinion based. There's huge injuries you can get in all of these sports. Rugby's a serious game for injuries. Aussie rules is quite a serious sport for injury. Ice hockey's insane. So all of them in their own right could be top of that list. But certainly for most physical, the stats don't lie. The only thing that should have probably come second is American football, for how much ground they actually cover on average. A player covers on average in a game, which is very interesting. I would have thought the fact that they have like offense and defense, there wouldn't be as much running in a game. Here comes Boss Baby to steal the show. So thanks very much for watching anyway. This was my most physical contact sport on planet Earth, mixed with a little bit of the most dangerous. I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to Don't forget to subscribe and put the notifications bell on if you enjoy the videos. If you put the notifications bell on, you'll be alerted to the videos when we release them and you won't miss them. Do check us out and on how you can follow us on our social media platforms such as Instagram, Facebook, etc. And if you could, it would be great if you could become
anyone you have.
A patron of the channel. That's what she's trying to say. It'd be great if you could become a patron and help us out that way. And also, we're looking into doing a vlogging trip to Australia. We're going to be doing AFL vlogging trip with the channel, our first ever one. So there's a Get Us to Oz fundraiser in the description section as well. Thanks very much for watching. This was episode 3. I hope you enjoy it, and stay tuned for podcast episode 4. See you soon and goodbye.
Bye.